Okay, welcome back. This is your friendly neighborhood Uhfgood, and this time we are going to. I haven't thought of that yet. I mean, I did, but I didn't. Uh, okay, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and start. In fact, let me look at something here, which is, if you notice, update and update in parentheses two is OBS is recording, and then these are my numberings. And in fact, these should actually go into archive now. And so my last video, which was this one right here, uh, right there. Does it show the tooltip? It doesn't actually show the tooltip. Interesting. But that one was my last one, and since I have 28 updates already, that would make this one 29, and that would make the one that I'm doing right now 30. So we're on update number 30 of Enchanted Lands, and uh, I guess I should have kind of went through an introduction. I mean, you could look at the description and see what this is about, but I guess I should kind of tell you every once in a while. So Enchanted Lands is my dream game. It's an adventure game. Adventure games was the reason that I got into programming and stuff in the first place, way back in the day, like in the mid '90s, early '90s. Space Quest 3, that was my go-to game. That was my favorite game until Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle came out. But it was the whole reason that I got in there. In fact, I was gonna do at one point a sci-fi game. I especially like the part, if you haven't played it. Space Quest 3 is obviously a sequel to Space Quest 2, and the main character, Roger Wilco, he's in some sort of escape pod, uh, and he gets picked up by this garbage freighter. And when he wakes up and then gets out, and the door closes on the escape pod, and he can never go back into it. And so you're on this garbage freighter, and you find the ship, and then you find parts of the ship, and then you put it together, and then you leave using that ship. And so I always thought it was really cool, the shipbuilding part, and I thought it would be cool to do a game based specifically on that, which I might do sometime in the future. But this other game that I'm doing right now, called Enchanted Lands, uh, was just basically something I started having like characters pop up in my head. At first, I was going to do a fantasy one about dragons, and then I was going to do one about this long lost prince in this fantasy kingdom, and then I got the idea that what would be funny is if a real Magic Kingdom turned into a tourist resort, right? So that you can have this ultra rich actually go to this tourist resort, and they can kind of act out their fantasies. And I don't mean that in a dirty way, so get your mind out of the gutter. But I thought it'd be really funny, like, girls can become princesses or fairy godmothers. Uh, boys can become knights and wizards, and they have these four schools, and one's Princess Prep, and the other one's Wizard U, and there's the Knights Academy, and then there is Fairy God College. So basically, it would be funny, but you know, you have to start somewhere where there's a problem, right? So the problem here is that we had a guy sneak in who was banished previously and come in and basically take over the kingdom and kind of run it into the ground and kind of close stuff up and all this stuff. So that's where we're at. So basically, Enchanted Lands is about a wizard named, we'll call him Halfway, because he got part of his magic was taken. Oh, that he actually gave, but that's a different story or a different part of the story. So basically, this is a fantasy comedy adventure that I hope to have. I'll go ahead and say it, but I don't mean it because I'm that good at all. All I mean is I would like to for it to have Disney quality 2D animation, and that doesn't mean that I'm good enough to do Disney quality. It just means that's what I'm gonna shoot for. In fact, if I ever end up hiring anybody, if I end up making any money, I'll hire somebody to do that. Anyways, I should actually go ahead in each video and say the update number, which is 30, and then a brief synopsis of Enchanted Lands and a little introduction. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, although I kind of wasted about half of my video time. I know it's kind of like making content that's not really content, because I'm supposed to be working on my game. You have to realize, though, with me, I usually have to think, and I have to mull stuff over in my head over and over again. I have to think about it constantly, and when I do that, then stuff emerges, and that's the stuff I'll put in the game. So this is kind of still part of the process, even though you don't actually see any progress. There is progress, and I am doing it. That's why we got these parts here, these parts in here. So at first I was going to go ahead and say that maybe I should start backwards, because they always say you should start backwards, from the solution of the problem, and then kind of go backwards and see how they get there. I did kind of, there's a goal here, because Max's ultimate goal is to conquer every realm that connects to the Nexus, that connects to Enchanted Lands. And our guys are there to stop it. So, but I do have, I'm going to tell you everything, including the solutions to puzzles and everything. I'm showing you how I build this, and what I'm thinking, and how I make puzzles and stuff. Not as a tutorial, because I am by no means any expert. I'm learning. It's just as though you were making your dream game, and you were just starting from scratch, and you kind of almost didn't know where to start. I mean, you kind of had an idea, and you had an idea for parts, and you could do some of it, but you're starting from scratch, and you have to think through things. You have to learn some stuff. I'm still trying to figure out whether I want to try to do everything with the nodes, Blender nodes, because you can do the logic and Armory with nodes. I think you could do everything with nodes, but I'm not positive, but I think you can. Or if I should do some Haxy. I always thought it was Haxy originally. It's spelled Haxe, but they say it's pronounced Hex, because they're the ones that made it, so it's probably Hex. But I always go through the dealie, because everybody pronounces it differently just because it's spelled weird, right? So some say Haxy, like I do. Some say Hax. Some say Hex. It's Hex, whatever. Hex, Hax, Haxy. I guess I'll continually do that. Maybe I'll continually change it up or whatever. So, Haxy programming, and I know some Haxy programming because I did it. I was actually working on a game, and I hit another technological bump. It's usually what stops me. I hit these little technological road bumps, and I can't get past it, and then I abandon the project. I don't do like other people where I abandon a project just because I become disinterested. I usually do it just because I hit an actual technological block, and I can't go any further. So I have some hex programming experience, so I know how to do that. So if I want to get good at programming, I probably would go the Haxi route. If I want to learn how to do nodes, I'll have to do Blender nodes. So I'll have to figure out what would be the better, uh, what's better to do, hex, or just nodes, right? So maybe a combination of the two. Maybe I can figure out what would be more suitable for programming and what would be more suitable for just using nodes. So I guess I'll have to give that some thought. So part one, or game one, um, is must encompass this part. So um, we introduce characters, right? The king summons halfway to the administration castle, and then he enters the throne room, and then says he just sold Enchanted Lands to Max, and promptly fires halfway and ejects him out of the castle. Physically ejects him. Then John Thomas enters Enchanted Lands, and John Thomas is our main character from our world, or at least he's been living in our world for a long time. We'll later find out that he's actually from Enchanted Lands itself. Oh yeah, like I was gonna say earlier, I'm going to like reveal all the solutions and stuff because I'm making this up as I go and I'm logging everything. I'm videoing the process. But there is one little dealie that deals with the Black Knight and Sir William the Unicorn, and I will keep that a secret as long as I can keep it a secret. So until the last game or the last part, that will remain a secret. So I didn't like the fact that the Broken Age or Double Fine Adventure documentary didn't really tell you what he did when he was coming up with the ideas and stuff. What he was writing, was he just writing ideas? Did he write a whole sequence of events? Did he write just impressions, or kind of some idea he wanted to go along, or just a main plot or something? I'm talking about Tim Schafer, but so I don't want to keep anything a secret because this is what I wanted to know. I wanted to know how you go from A to B. How do you start? What do you think up? What's the process, right? My process so far is doing these plot points like you have in movies, and then you get to play in between. In fact, each part is going to have its own set of plot points, even though it's going to include these ones here that it showed for the whole game. But I do have one secret I want to keep from everybody to the very end. Okay, so look forward to that, I guess. In any case, my time is up for this video. I guess I'll see you in the next video. Signing off.